And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Just making sure everything is all set before we get started. Give people just a moment to tune into the stream. Welcome, everybody who is here with me live. I see some regular faces in the crowd. Hello to Denise. Don Quicksay. I'm going to struggle with your name. I apologize. Good to see you, Ish. Thanks for being back. What's up, everybody? Hey, Evan. Al Knight says morning all. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are in the world. Thanks for being here with me. So we've got some markets to talk about because things are crazy right now. Gold just kept going, you guys. So we're going to look at gold. We are going to look at the euro today, and we're just going to see what we can get ourselves into. So thanks for joining back with me. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We've got another a guest today joining us, I believe. We'll see. I hope so. At 10 on the secondary stream. So if you guys are not, or the secondary channel, if you guys aren't following us on our other YouTube channel, A1 Trading, make sure to check that out. There may be a link down below in the description, but if not, you can just search up A1 Trading on YouTube and you can find us there, where we're going to be doing a special show today after I am finished live. So definitely check that out if you have not already. And if you're watching this back at a later point, definitely check out A1 Trading on YouTube for more free content. We separated it into two channels for the purpose of basically, you know, if you guys watch my channel, I think the idea is you probably want to hang out with me. But if you want more content from our entire team and analyst, squad, then definitely you can check out the secondary channel and get more value there. So with that said, I figure we start with Euro USD. But before I do, let me go over and take a look at the heat map and see what's going on the website today. So you guys already know you can go over to the website, a1trading.com, anytime you want. There's a bunch of free tools here that we've put together for traders. Again, completely free. Let's go take a look at the currency heat map, and then maybe we'll jump into some COT reports today just to see what that has for us. So the euro against the dollar moving very strong today. You can see the US dollar here incredibly weak today. So lots of sell pressure on the US dollar, and this would make sense off of the backs of inflation concerns as well as that recent unemployment number. You got a lot of bearish things stacking up on the US dollar at this point. A few months back, I was actually bullish on the dollar, but with all this newest data and concerns about inflation, not something that I'm personally looking to jump into on the long side at this point. So, mostly you've got the euro moving strong today. The New Zealand dollar looks very strong today, and same with the Swiss franc. Now, I actually had a short position essentially on the Swiss franc this morning that closed out for a profit, but I got out of the way of that trade just because things were moving against me there. And basically, when something starts moving really strong, I try and just avoid, I try and jump out of it and just look for something else to trade. But I was long on pound against Swiss franc, which you can see today is giving back a little bit of its gains that we've seen in the last few days. So I took a trade there on pound Swiss. Today it is moving against me, so I stopped out for a profit and on to the next one. I was actually before the stream looking for trade setups this morning. I didn't really see anything that really caught my eye, but again, that's why we're here. We're doing trade alerts and ideas and stuff here on the stream. So we'll take a look at some markets together and talk about it to see if there's anything that we can get ourselves into. So again, overall, seems like you've got some strength on the euro, some strength on the New Zealand, and some strength on the Swiss franc today, whereas you've got the rest of them kind of trading flat, except for the US dollar, which is getting beaten down today. So with that said, let's go look at the charts and see what we can get into. I do want to look at some of the US dollar crosses just to see what's going on. So let's get into it. Okay, so we'll full screen this. And the first one we are going to look at today is going to be the euro against the dollar. And I want to show you this really quick because things are very bullish here on the US dollar or the euro US dollar. As things move higher, you can see basically all the dips being bought up very decisively on euro dollar multiple times, doing something like this where each time it dips, buyers come in, push it higher, buyers come in, push it higher, right? And so now, we basically broke through this pretty big level that we've been watching, which is 21.5. And this is a huge statement for euro bulls in my opinion. From here, you can see that this major point of resistance, multiple times where sellers were strong in this area, has sort of failed the bulls here. Each time, again, when we dipped, we would see buy pressure come in. So now with the euro dollar breaking through this high, that's looking very bullish for the Euro USD. And to me, this looks like it has potential to run up to our next level of resistance, which is back up to here, 1.235 or so. Okay. With that said, that still leaves a lot of room to the upside in my view for the Euro USD. If we did see that move all the way up to that point, that's 130 pips still to the upside. So pretty impressive move there for the Euro USD so far. And again, I think that for the most part has the potential to continue higher should we see, the US dollar continue to be weak, especially. So as we look at it again, something like this, something like a pullback here, if you're an intraday trader, if you're watching the Euro, if you're bullish on this thing, could be some opportunities looking for that. But as you guys know, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing my opinions and my analysis. But I think that the euro has more upside to go here. Trinity says gold ? Well, we will get to it. Don't you worry. Gold is going to be a hot topic today just because it's moving substantially. So we will definitely talk about gold, getting into it here on the stream for sure. So let's see. So the other thing I should say with the euro dollar is we should probably check out the COT report because I'm curious to see what the euro is looking like on the futures market. So let's head over to the website, a1trading.com, go over to COT reports, and let's see what's going on with the euro today. So if I go right here to euro and we scroll down a little bit here, this is what I like to look at. So we'll go non-commercials only. And so with the non-commercial positioning here, you can actually see that, we started really decreasing. Let me see if I can zoom in just a bit more here. So here's things as of 2021. So you can see the demand for the euro was starting out very strong beginning of the year. Then we saw just a steep decline on the euro. People were just selling it aggressively. It seemed like, especially against the US dollar. Well, since then, we've sort of bottomed out in April of this year, and since then really started to see a pickup in demand for the euro once more. Now, this partially was on the back of, you had an increased demand for the euro due to the fact that we had some better outlook for the euro towards the second half of the year here. People are looking at it and saying, okay, well, things are bouncing back. They've got a good vaccine rollout. Things are looking promising and improving. Whereas in the US, we've got this concern about inflation. So those two things lined up have been a pretty big catalyst for euro bulls. So when I'm looking at this, like I said, this demand does look healthy on the COT report. It does look like we have some increasing demand on the euro. Now, will that last? We will see. Again, I don't know the future. So when I'm looking at this, I'm just saying, okay, for now, I'm not going to try and predict. I'm just saying it does look like the trajectory, if you will, of this COT report looks good. It looks like there's demand coming in for the euro. And until that changes, I will be bullish. Now, if you remember, I was bearish on the euro, took a lot of great trades during this time. And then sort of, once we went flat and changed directions, I basically bailed on that because I'm not going to try and fight the big money. COT reports, if you don't know what this is, these are institutional traders. You can see all of this stuff on my website. Just go over to a1trading.com and find the COT report section, and you can look at this on your own time for any of the currencies that you like. So when I look at the euro specifically, right, when we got this increased demand, nice spike there. Since then, we've had a nice little rally up, and it lines up with the price action that we've seen. We've seen lots of demand for the euro USD. So again, off the back of that, I'm not willing to take any bearish positions. You've got big money into this thing, or at least for the time being. You've also got nice structural breakouts to the upside. If anything, I would say more upside to come on the euro USD. Okay. Let's look at it. Let's look at some more stuff. So that's the euro for the day. What about the pound dollar? Take a look at GBP USD. Pull this one up and look at this, you guys. So I looked at this morning and I was kind of pretty excited by this because you have the pound dollar hitting our target there just today. We talked about 1.42 for the last several weeks on the pound dollar. Now, I didn't take a trade. I wish I did. It would be a great situation to be in because you got this nice, beautiful uptrend. This is the daily chart, by the way. So we're looking big picture at the pound dollar. And so you can see pound dollar hit our target, which was a retest of this area. Ever since we really dipped and started consolidating, I still said, fundamentally, I like this thing bullish, and I think that it has potential to tag 1.42 once more. Now comes the real question, because now we are tagging that level, and it's like, well, is this thing going to break out and continue higher, or is it going to stop here and take another, multiple month break? I think that if I'm looking at this, I would be very, very cautious as a seller, because I think it has this potential to actually break out and continue higher. One of the things that's leading me to think about that is, okay, last time price came up into here, you saw a heavy, quick rejection. And this time you're still seeing the candle look pretty full. Now, again, watch for the close of this daily candle, because if price, does this again, right, and you get that big steep sell-off intraday, it could be concerning for bulls. But if you get something where, price stays strong and even maybe closes outside of this resistance point, makes its way to the top of this range and stays there, I would say that that's very bullish, and any, lower time frame pullback could be something, to look out for, something like this. Again, a lot of times people say something is too high. Some people say, it's got to come down because it looks high. But the reality is that a trending market where there's lots of demand for something can trend a lot higher than people expect. So again, you might have said the pound was too high here, and then it kept rallying and rallying and rallying. So it's just playing the patient game and saying, okay, well, if I want to get long in this, give me the trade setup that I'd really be, ready to take. Let's drop it down to the 4-hour chart and see if we can find anything specifically that might help. So when I'm looking at the pound dollar, you can see each time price dipped, you had the rally. These are healthy signals that I like to say, okay, this market is strong. I think it has more upside. Even on the intraday chart, if you get something like this, pull back here, if you're very bullish on the pound dollar like me, there might be some opportunities to even try and look for, that retest to go higher and look for some long setups. But again, you do have to play, you be a little bit patient, because you're talking about something that has been going up for a bit. It does look a little bit stretched. So for me, a nice pullback to a healthy level would be something to consider, but you got to be cautious, because again, when you get these steep run-ups, when they do come down, a lot of times they can come down hard. So right now, I think that the pound dollar has more upside personally, but again, I can be wrong, and please don't take trades just because I say, I like something or not. Look at that, my camera's fuzzing up. Let me fix that. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so that's the pound dollar. Honestly, like I said, when I look at this, I think it has more upside. I do want to see this candle probably close bullish. I'd like to see something like that. Maybe then looking for dips to try and continue higher. If anything, if we saw something like this, and then we saw something like this, I'd probably like that even more. Just show us that we're going to really clear that level, and that buyers on a pullback might be very, very interested in that, right? Nick has reached a long way, sponsored by TradingView. Yeah, Sanjay, it's really cool that we've been in back and forth in contact, and they basically just wanted to start sponsoring the streams. And I said, absolutely. I use your software every day. I might as well. Shout out to TradingView, by the way. You guys already know it is the best charting platform out there, in my opinion. I use it every single day as a trader to mark up my charts and to look at things. So if you are not already using TradingView, I want to highly encourage you guys to check it out. Their platform is free, and it is absolutely amazing. You get so many tools, so many things. A lot of people are using, some of the older platforms out there, but I do want to just say, try TradingView out. It is worth your time. It is so clean. It is so easy to use. And for me, it's just the way to go. So check it out, tradingview.com. Make sure to give this thing a try. And if you ever get interested in using the premium version, that is very worth it as well. The replay functions, the added indicators, everything that you get on the premium version is fantastic. So you already know I'm a big fan, and it was not just because they sponsored me. I like this stuff way before I even was ever in contact with TradingView. But so that's why it's so easy for me to sponsor a company that I like already. More scams out there using your name. Yeah, I know. There's so many of them. If you see somebody that's messaging you, like, first of all, I don't really DM anybody. Like I very rarely will DM with people back and forth, just because honestly, if I want to talk to people, I talk to people like this. I talk to a lot of people at once just because it's a lot easier. DMs, I can only message one person at a time. So if you're getting a message from somebody that claims that it's me, it is not me. I don't message people first, like, rarely ever. So just be aware of that. And if somebody's trying to get you to send them Bitcoin, absolutely not something that I would do. So please be careful. Gold rejecting heavily. Okay, I think it's time. We'll go take a look at gold. We'll switch over to XAU USD. There it is. Let's see what's going on with gold today. Okay, so gold is coming into a very interesting spot. 1850, you guys, broke really, really quick. We were pointing this out yesterday when I was looking at gold. We're going to start fresh because gold, I want to get a full picture of this. So let's start at the daily chart and we will work our way down. So gold right now, you can see here's that recent run up that we've seen, for the last few weeks. It's been very good, very, very strong bullish side for the gold market. But let me just give you guys a little bit of a take here on the gold market. So if I just draw a quick trend line here, you can see things are looking very interesting as we come to the top of this range. So I drew this along the closes of the candles here and here, right? So you can actually see price sort of breaking out of that, which is actually very bullish. That's a good signal for buyers. But let me show you a few more things. Let's also draw in some levels just to keep on our radar. Here you've got the 1950 level that we've talked about multiple times. So let me just pull that out. And then, of course, I just like to mark the recent high just because it gives me an idea of, maybe a longer term level that we could head to should things get very bullish. On top of that, we've got a couple levels of support that I want to show you. So on the daily chart, of course, you've got our recent, the double bottom that we formed back in March. And we'll put that on the chart as well. So there we go. Just line that up. So this is pretty much when you guys see my charts marked up. This is like how I usually do it. So I'll start on the higher time frames. I'll mark the points on the chart where I see, strong demand or supply. The way I target demand and supply is I just look for strong reversal points, right? Like pivot points. So then from there, we can drop down a little bit. We'll do the 4-hour chart now and mark up some levels here. So let's mark some recent levels of demand. So we've had multiple chances or multiple attempts here, or I guess not even attempts, successes by bulls to push prices higher. So we'll do this. You also have a level here. You've got a level here. You know what? I'm going to mark this level here. And a level here. Okay, so lots of demand. You can see on the way up, we've formed lots of points on the chart where things got bullish enough to continue to push price higher. Let's keep marking up. We'll go further on gold. And again, there's a reason I do it all like this, in pieces so that we can come back and look at it later. So once I have that marked up, let me show you where we are on the 4-hour chart. You've got some strong or arguably some heavy resistance here. And we will change this to supply. I'm using templates, by the way, on TradingView. Another awesome feature of TradingView is you can quickly change colors around and do things as you like. Okay, so this is where we're at. So we've got a 4-hour level of resistance. You've got the daily levels of resistance that I marked, the 4-hour levels of support, and the daily levels of support. So lots of different areas where we can see pivotal points on the chart. Again, same concept. You can see pivots here, pivots here, pivots here, pivots here, right? That's where I'm identifying strong reversal points on the chart. Okay, so from there on the 4-hour chart, we're coming into a level of resistance here. You could keep going lower, by the way. If you're a lower time frame trader, you could go down to the 1 hour, 30 minute, etc. For me, I'm mostly, looking at the 4-hour, 1 hour, and daily chart. So I guess we can just look at the 1-hour chart just for the sake of it. We do have this level here as demand, pretty obvious one. And that's about it. Okay, so with everything going on, we can see there's our 4-hour level of resistance. So this is where I would say, okay, we're looking at gold. I would be cautious to be a buyer because we are at such a strong level of resistance. It is very possible that we could see a pullback. But again, when we marked up all those levels of support, we've got so many areas for price to pull back and find demand. When you've got these like strong pushes up and everywhere, price could pull back to, there's levels of demand. It's just, you want to be cautious on the sell side, at least in my view, because again, everything gets bought up by gold, at least recently. Now, can that change? It absolutely can. But for now, that's the story, right? Buying up dips on the gold market. Especially off the backs of a weak US dollar and inflation concerns, the gold market is really, really strong right now. Now, let's jump back to the 4-hour chart. So that 4-hour level of resistance, when I look at this, I'm saying, okay, well, I'm not going to buy here. Definitely not going to buy at this level of resistance because, again, it's resistance, meaning that we've seen a lot of sellers come into this area. So as gold comes up into this spot, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to pause on this. I'm not going to be looking for buys anytime up here. However, we've got levels to pull back to. So if price does pull back, maybe we get a move back to 1845 roughly, 1840, right? And then you've got 1810, let's say. You've got some nice levels to pull back to and maybe find some demand. So when I'm looking at this, when I'm looking at gold on the 4-hour chart, I'm not rushing to get long. I'm not rushing to get short. Where we are currently at, there's no interest. So for me, I'm not really like a big gold trader at this point anyways, just because things are, they're not necessarily like a risk off situation, right? So gold tends to flourish in a time of risk off sentiment when things are really scary around the world, which of course there's always something going on in the world. But right now the overall sentiment, like globally, is doing okay. Things are not super concerning in terms of like economics and etc. Of course, we've got everything going on in over there in Israel and Palestine, the arguments and complications there, and definitely some serious hopes and prayers for the people over in that part of the world. But just as a macro situation, trade is picking up. Unemployment overall seems to be dropping. And so gold for me is not super interesting in that sort of environment. So again, where do we go from there? For me, not a super bull or a super bear. We do have resistance. If I was to be buying gold, I'd be looking for pullbacks, 2 levels of demand. Again, lining up that trend line that we marked, maybe something like that could be a great setup should you be a gold bull, to look for a nice healthy pullback. You've got that move back to 1840 roughly, lined up with that trend line. And, if that happens, if you're very bullish on that, you could see price come down to that point and maybe have an opportunity to look for longs. So that would be my perspective. If you're a bear on gold, here's what I would say with the bearish side of gold. I'd probably want to see some of these same demand levels that we're seeing get broken and held by sellers. So for example, if I was to switch to the bearish side here, because I'm like a 4-hour/daily chart trader, I'd like to see price start to show levels of resistance by sellers. So if we had a few lower highs and lower lows, okay, maybe we could see some switch around, right? Here's one more thing to watch out for. If you are a bear on gold, if you're looking for sell side, you probably want to see something like this break structure. So we have this nice upward trend line, lots of demand on the gold market, right? If we were to see that fail and move lower, that could be huge, right? Because you've got these higher lows, this nice structure to the upside. If we saw that switch around, saw that flip to the downside, maybe there's some movement lower, right? But again, that's what I would be looking for before I even look to try and short or sell gold. I would not be willing to just sell it just because it seems high, because something that seems high can go way further than what people would imagine or think, right? So that is what I'm looking at on gold. I hope that makes sense. Do me a favor, you guys. What do you think? In the comment section, in the chat box, are you bullish or are you bearish on gold at this point? Do you think it's going higher? Do you think it's going lower? You let me know. I'd be curious to see what you guys have to say. I'll give you guys just a second to answer. But I do also want to remind you guys that in just a bit, we have a secondary stream going on. It's not going to be me. It's going to be Ivan. He's going to be taking over and doing some analysis with you guys and offering a little bit of a different perspective. So if you like Ivan, if you've seen him before, we're going to be doing it only on our secondary channel, A1 Trading. You can find that should be a link to join that and subscribe to that channel. But again, we've got more free stuff coming to that secondary channel. And today we've got Ivan joining us. So don't miss that stream. I'll be in there watching as well and be in the background in case, and maybe jump in and chat with him a bit as well. So waiting for a pullback, says Chris. Larry says he's a bear. Agree on sell advice, 1950 all day long. I like that, Pablo. Yeah, I think the idea of like waiting for signs of bearishness would be the most important thing for me if I was looking at it. Again, I think a lot of people are probably rushing to sell up here just because it seems high, but it's a very dangerous game to play on gold because gold can go a lot longer than people expect. And it's been such a, it's one of those things, it's a dangerous thing to try and be a bear when something is really strong. It's painful to be a bull when something is very weak because it's tough to find a top or a bottom. It's a very difficult thing to do in markets. Some people can do it. Some people trade reversals really well. They counter trend very well, but I personally find it a bit harder. So let's move on to something else. We'll find another chart to look at. So there was gold. We looked at the euro and we looked at the pound. Let's look at the US dollar because it's getting beat up. Real quick, we'll look at DXY, just at the index here. So this is the US dollar crossed against a couple different things at the same time. So this is the Dow Jones Dollar Index. And this is telling the story for itself. Look how bearish the US dollar is right now. So much sell pressure on the US dollar. Hey, let's do the same thing really quick, you guys. What about the dollar? Are you bullish on the dollar or are you bearish on the dollar? I'll get some more feedback from you guys and maybe pop up some of the comments. Let me know what you think about the US dollar today. Do you think it's going lower? Do you think it's going to bounce here? What do you guys think? Dollar Swiss. We'll look at dollar Swiss in just a moment. I'd like to look at dollar Swiss for sure. We looked at Euro USD, by the way, earlier on in the stream for Mayan who asked about the euro. We looked at it earlier in the stream, so you can go back and watch it. Okay, lots of bears in the house, mostly bearish on the US dollar here. Interesting. GBP numbers today. I think we have CPI tomorrow. Isn't that right? Happy day. I think it's GBP CPI numbers are tomorrow. Bearish until the Fed starts talking about raising rates. Lower interest rates. I think you mean higher interest rates, right? Because if you're higher interest rates are usually considered bullish for the dollar because the higher interest rates attracts more, investors. Lower interest rates usually is less attractive for investors. It's kind of like a dividend. If you have a higher interest rate, it's like a positive dividend that gets paid to a stock. And if you have a lower interest rate or even a negative one, it's like a don't invest, right? It's like, you have less incentive to hold on to something. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're on the same page. So waiting for higher interest rates to be in the conversation. I actually agree with that. I really like that idea. Until the Fed starts talking about raising rates, I just don't see the US dollar as like a viable buy. Now, if they come out and they say, hey, enough's enough, we're going to raise rates, then I might switch around. But the thing is, when you have this thing selling off and you have high inflation, right? Inflation is quite high here in the US right now, at least relatively speaking. The target of the Fed is 2%, and we're somewhere much higher than that. So when you have that situation going on, that's devaluing the currency. But then you also have the Fed sort of saying, we don't want to raise rates because we want to keep the economy strong, or we want to, allow people to flourish and buy houses and all this thing, right? Well, the problem is when you have high inflation and not hiking rates, inflation problem can become a bigger problem because you're sitting there and you're not slowing down that inflation. The whole idea behind rate hikes usually is to slow down inflation. And so when you have the Fed saying, we're not going to raise rates, that's concerning. So I would say that for me right now, the US dollar is pretty bearish. Will they raise rates? At some point, they probably will. But until they start talking about it more seriously, the US dollar is of no interest to me because that could be 2 years away. Hey, real quick, wherever you are, guys, right now, whether you're on YouTube, we have some people on Facebook. Shout out to my friends on Facebook. Wherever you guys are, can you like the stream? That would be a big favor to myself and our team here at A1 Trading. We'd really appreciate it. All this stuff that you guys see here is completely free. We do a lot of work to make sure it's the most enjoyable place for you. I hope it's benefiting you. I hope you get ideas from it. I would ask that if you enjoy this stuff, please just like the stream. It's a free thing that you can do. That would mean a lot to help support the content that we do here. Like I said, for free for you guys. And we plan to keep it that way. And as long as people are enjoying the content, we'll keep doing it. So let's continue with the dollar. And again, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you're new, come back for more in the future. Again, you get this stuff for free, and that's the way we're going to keep it. So cool. Amber says like train. Yeah, let's get a like train going. Let's see if we can run it up. What are we at on likes? Let's I'm gonna pull it up. On my stream, at least, we're streaming on 3 different places at the same time, but currently we're at 170 likes. Let's see if we can run that up to 250, maybe even try and get to 300. That would be awesome. I appreciate it very much, guys. Thanks so much for being here with me and talking markets. This is our passion, obviously, and as long as we can keep doing it for you guys, we will. So let's talk about the dollar a little bit closer. So with the dollar, let's look at the daily chart here. So the US dollar is nearing some dangerous levels because you've got this big fat level of support here. But if that breaks, very concerning for bulls, because this US dollar, we saw ever since 2020 started, we had a lot of money printing, a lot of concerns about inflation. And sure enough, we're back to the lows, which we were looking like things were going to be sort of bottoming out. And I took some bullish trades on the dollar during this time. But since then, we've started to sell off again. And so it's one of those things a little bit concerning in the sense that, as we near these lows again, you really never wanted to see those lows hit again. That would be, a healthy pullback would have been something like this, right? Pullback, continuation, pullback, continuation. But now we're right back to the lows. And so for me, it's like, okay, it looks like if this trend is going to continue, that we probably could even break through these lows. And if that level breaks, very bearish for the dollar, may have way more downside to come. And again, the really only thing that is going to stop it, in my view, like this whole idea here, a big part of this catalyst for the upside for the dollar was this concern about like, okay, maybe the Fed's going to raise rates. That could be a huge deal. We could see some bullishness on the dollar. And then they were like, nah, we're not going to do that. So a little bit concerning here as we sell off. So I would say that if anything, watch for the breakout. If we see the breakout, there might be some more dollar short trades out there. With that said, my favorite one to talk about is going to be USD Cad. This is the US dollar, which I'm bearish against or bearish on, versus the CAD, which I am bullish on. So combining these two currency crosses makes for a really interesting chart. You can see that we were talking about a potential, low being formed here. We did get a little bit of a bounce there, but again, another failure here by the buyers. Really, really bearish structure. So we're looking at dollar CAD here, and you can see on the 4-hour chart, check this out. Price tried here, failed very sharply. Price tried here, failing very sharply. So sellers are still alive and well here on the dollar CAD. And so for me now, we have to draw this this fib extension or fib retracement a little bit more here. You can kind of see what was a level of support here, held temporarily, but it does seem like there is a fresh low here. If you're super bearish and you're looking for day trades, there might be some opportunities to sell that resistance point, or what was support, now resistance. But for me, I'm still patient on this one. I'd really like to see a retracement back to some of these levels before looking to get short, because again, although this thing looks bearish to me, I still would prefer to wait for a nice retracement, give me a pullback opportunity to try and short or sell into this. So this is one that's on my watch list, but still a little bit far away before I can really get involved with this one. We'll take a look at the US dollar against the Swiss franc. I can't see myself shorting this one personally, and I'll tell you why. Although, I'm not super bullish on the dollar, I am actually very bearish on the Swiss franc. The reason behind that is because the Swiss franc has a couple things that I really don't like about it. Here's my main catalyst. The interest rate in Switzerland is minus 0.75%. So what that means is that if you put your money in Swiss banks, you lose in negative interest 0.75% per year. There's a reason that they do that. That is a purposeful mission to get people to take their money out of the bank, stimulate the economy, and to they want a weaker currency for themselves, because the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, both of them struggle with a little bit of deflation, right? The yen has, the Japanese and the Swiss people, they've both struggled with a currency that has been going up and up and up. And the problem with having a currency that goes up is it makes you less competitive globally. So when I'm looking at Switzerland here with negative 0.75 interest rate, it's like I don't really want to be buying that currency because they're actively trying to devalue it. So I don't want to be fighting that unless it is a situation where you've got a risk-off environment and people are like flocking into these safer currencies, right? I don't want to be buying that in a market environment where things are good, because I could probably go buy something that's going to yield more, something like the Aussie, the Cad, or the GBP. All of those I like more. So when I look at the dollar against the Swiss franc, I'm not bullish on either one of these. So I really can't trade this currency cross based on my approach, my strategy. I want to trade something that I like, strong, versus something that I find weak. And so with both of these being weak in my view, I'm not interested in really trading it. However, for the people who are watching this, we'll just do some quick analysis. So this little support level here on the 4-hour chart, kind of depends who you're asking, but I would say that it's sort of already broken, right? You've got this level of demand selling through the lows here today. And so, maybe if you're intraday, maybe there's some opportunities for retracement and looking for more downside. But I think that you've got, in terms of a support level, the next major support level is not until you get all the way down to something like this. So I would even mark this personally as like a resistance point at this point. So you've got that. But again, not my favorite currency cross. What about the dollar yen? USD JPY here. So you can see dollar yen respecting resistance pretty sharply here, multiple times here, and here, sold off. It does look like, if anywhere, it's probably just headed back. And I think that the dollar yen is probably due to just range bound, probably going to go back and forth for a while. If you were to ask me what I would do if I had to trade this thing, I'd say probably look for buys down here. And that's about it. Probably wouldn't be buying or selling here. And I'd be looking for some more of the extensions one way or the other before I really get involved there. So that's going to be most of what I have for the dollar here. Is there anything else that we want to cover? Real quick, drop a comment in the chat if you have a chart that you want me to look at, and I will try and do maybe one or two more here, and then we will go from there. Leandro says, make sure to check out the secondary channel. Yes, we've got another show starting in about 20 minutes. So definitely check that out. We've got more content coming for you there on the A1 Trading YouTube channel. If you just go to A1 Trading on YouTube, you can find it there. And while you guys are typing up over there your charts you want me to look at, I'm going to drop a link for you so that you can jump in there. So real quick, if you want to watch the secondary stream in a bit, I just dropped the link down below in the chat there. So check that out. Click that link wherever you are, and you can subscribe to the secondary channel, turn on post notifications, and you'll get more streams, more shows, free stuff for us there. Okay, GJ? Yeah, we can do GJ. I'd like to do GBP, JPY. We already looked at the euro, and we looked at some of the other ones. Happy day with the €1. Thanks so much for the donation, man. Appreciate you very much. Thanks so much. You guys already know these streams are completely free, and I don't ask for donations, but when you do donate, it does mean a lot just because it helps to keep us doing these streams, keep them going. So let's look at GBP, JPY here, pull it up, and look at this. Oh, look, Frank left us a message. Hey, Nick, it's Frank. Thanks, Frank. So GJ, 4-hour chart, you've got this super bull going on. I actually thought that this was going to be the high. So I put in a fib retracement, and you can see, sure enough, it got broken right through. So if we were to draw that now, you can still see you've got, and this has been the same story for a while for me. When I look at GJ, I basically said, if we're looking at this thing, I want to, for me, if I was going to buy this, a bigger pullback to, at this point, even now, this level looks pretty good. We'll see if this is going to top out anytime soon, or if it's going to really roll over. But for me, I'd like a pullback. I set an alert yesterday. It does look like it's not going to get hit anytime soon, but I've got an alert just in case price does dip sharply down to that 50% retracement. That would be a buy from me most likely. Let's look at the lower time frames for our day traders out there. Pound yen is probably the most popular day trading currency cross. People love this thing on the lower time frames because of that idea of high volatility. This thing moves quite a bit in terms of pips. So we're looking at the 1 hour chart. This average true range here tells us how many pips per hour. It's moving on average about 16 or 17 pips. And when things get moving, you can see it go up to like 25 pips an hour and even higher, almost, in this case, almost 30, like 26 pips per hour. So when it gets moving, it really can move quite a bit. Where we are at currently, you've got the RSI sort of in a mixed spot. Price is just back and forth. Watch for this bull flag here, though. If you think that the pound yen has more upside, watch for something like this to break out. Right? That could be a trade setup. And if we were to break that to the downside, if you see, by the way, what I mean by break, for me, I sort of define that as like if we could get a break and a close. So if we saw a candle that looks like this, if we see a nice up green candle, for example, and it ends up closing like that, I would consider that a very bullish signal, right? Because you've got all these, you can see these little wicks where price is trying to get higher, trying to break through that resistance point and struggling, right? Because each time it basically is not able to do so. Well, if you get something where price actually closes, it's sort of a cool confirmation. It's like, okay, bam, buyers were able to actually get across the finish line and stay there. And so from there, pullbacks, if you start to see some taking of profit, there might be opportunities for new buyers to step in and, off that renewed energy to continue higher. So that's what I'm looking at when I look at GBP JPY here on the 1 hour chart. You have to remember the context that we are in. We are stretched on the 4 hour and daily chart. So I wouldn't be rushing to take long positions. But again, if you're a day trader, if you're just looking for those quick movements, maybe there's more upside there just running off of the breakout, right? Momentum can go a lot higher than people ever expect it to do. So just be cautious with that. One more thing. So what about this? What about a pullback here on the pound yen to support? You've got some nice areas to watch out for here on the 1 hour chart. This actually is a really beautiful level of demand here. You've got 154.25, let's say, looking really good for a potential pullback setup, right? If something like this were to occur, looking for that continuation, could be a decent pullback, right? Because a lot of times you get something like this. You get a choppy consolidation, and then you get some profit taking, and then, you find, sellers start rushing in, but then the real bull, the buyers step in and they say, okay, now we got the pullback. Let's shove this thing higher, right? And that's just markets 101. They don't move in a straight line. They move in waves. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that from all the different people on YouTube who talk about this stuff. Markets don't move in a straight line all the time. They give back and they breathe in and they breathe out. It's like a high tide, low tide sort of thing. You get high tide where things are rushing in, and then low tide where things pull back. High tide, low tide, high tide, low tide. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, right? There's all these different analogies and concepts, but the basic idea is that it's like the emotions of traders. You get people who bought down here and they're like, okay, let me take profit. Right. And then you get people who say, well, I'll buy that from you out on discount. I'll take it and we'll go again. Right. And that is the nature of the markets, right? You get these breathe in, breathe out effects. So when I'm looking at pound yen, the big thing for me is saying, if a discount comes into play, maybe there's some opportunities. Again, this is the 1 hour chart for those of you who are, you can't see quite well up here. It's the 1 hour chart on GBP JPY. That might also be nice because you could get a dip there on the RSI. I'm using a 7-period RSI just as a basic filter added in there. I like to see when I get into a trade that price is either, overbought or oversold. But again, for me, if I'm looking at GJ, fundamentally, mostly looking for long setups. And again, I think that the best setup that I see here, honestly, is that pullback to support here. So let's see one more thing I want to show you guys. Fib retracement. And that looks like a 50%. Not quite, 38.2. So a pullback to that 38.2% retracement looks pretty interesting to me on the bull side. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know what you think on pound yen. I do think it is a bit stretched here on the higher time frames, so I'm going to be cautious with that. Again, going back to that daily chart, you can see we are quite high in terms of a move here. But again, what seems high can sometimes just keep going. So if you're a breakout trader, if you're a momentum trader, there might be some more upside, and looking for those clues could be, promising. Let's look at one more thing. Let's look at AUD USD because this one was moving when I looked at it last. 4 hour chart here on the Aussie dollar. You guys already know I've talked about it a few times on stream where I got stopped out. Sadly, I got stopped out right here on a long trade. Has anybody else experienced that before? It's very frustrating, but it's part of the game. There's just no avoiding it. No matter what strategy you have, there are times where your strategy just gets like dabbed on or juked out, but it happens. Looking at Aussie dollar, it does look like to me that it has the potential here to try again at breaking through this level and to go higher. So again, another bullish currency cross for me, especially with that US dollar weakness that we covered earlier on in the stream. If price were to break out here higher, something like a pullback to support could be very, very interesting to me to try and go higher. Again, I still have a target here of 0.8 on Aussie dollar. Still think that we are headed back to that point sometime before the end of the year. And so if that happens, then great. If it doesn't, then, I'm wrong sometimes. So I'd say most likely, though, I think that we see something like this over the next few weeks, so long as the fundamental data and the narrative continues to be risk on and looking good for the Aussie. So if that changes, of course, I will let you guys know on my streams. I'm always doing these updates every single day on a lot of different currency crosses. If you like this stream, if you're newer to the stream, do me a favor, subscribe down below and also like the stream down below. It would mean a lot to me. It's free to do and it really helps. And if you subscribe, it's good for you because you can come back and do this with me more often. I know a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll pull up the stream, whether it's with me or another analyst here at A1 Trading, and they will follow along and take notes, or they will do their own analysis while they watch, and they just kind of use it as a background filter. So if this stream has helped you in any way, whether it be with ideas or lessons or tips or tricks, drop that like. That would mean a lot. All right. So with that said, you guys, I do want to say before we go too far, if you are looking for more content, if you got here sort of later, we've got another analyst joining us in 10 minutes on our secondary YouTube channel. I just dropped the link again in the description, or not in the description, in the chat box. Click that link, subscribe to our second channel, click the notification bell over there, and in 10 minutes, we're going to be back over there with Ivan. He's another analyst, and he's got a really unique style of trading that a lot of you guys might like. If you like my style, you most likely will like Ivan as well. I think he's got some great strategies to bring to the table. And so see you guys over there. I'm going to wrap it up over here. Before I go, also check out the A1 Trading YouTube. Like I said, there's a ton of stuff coming to that one, not just live streams. We've got a lot of plans for that one in the future. And if you're not already in our private Discord community, any trade that I actually end up taking, whether it be today, tomorrow, next week, I share inside of the group with full details, entries, stop loss, my analysis and full breakdowns. It's not just buy Aussie dollar at this point. It's me telling you the trades that I'm taking and why and what I plan to do with full updates, etc. We also do live coaching webinars with our coach, Joe Barreca. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check it out. Try a month using the promo code down below in the description. You get a discount if you use that, and it's actually 25% off for the gold membership. Miss Queen says, how do you join the Discord? All of the information is down below in the description. There's a link for you there to get more information on the private Discord. Okay, guys, with that said, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see some of you guys back tomorrow on this channel. But again, head over to the second channel right now. We've got a stream starting in just a few minutes with our another analyst. So we'll see you there.